English teachers or teachers. My name is Gumba, and I am a graduate of Bachelor of Secondary, major in English. Yeah, Bachelor of Secondary Education, major in English. And ngayon po ay isi-share ko sa inyo ang my personal lesson plans and reflections in my teaching demonstrations and also my lesson plans. Okay? And meron ako ditong reflections sa mga lesson plans ko. Wait lang po. There. Practice teacher po po ako. And there. I'd be more than happy to share this to you, okay? And first and foremost, my first lesson plans reflection essay. This would be about the my reflection essay on lesson 3, forms of communications. Well, for forms of communications, there. I'll be reading this to you guys, okay? And I hope you will get some information from this reflection essays that I'll be sharing to you. And if you want the actual lesson plan from this reflection essays that I make, I'd be more than happy to give this to you. Okay, and this lesson plan on forms of communications, incorporated activities, and there you go, guys. And ulit, sorry for disconnect. Ulit, I'll be reading this to you once again. And kung sino ito, or for those na gustong mag-access or maghingi ng physical lesson plan ko, bibigay ko yun sa inyo, okay? And I'll be reading this to you, my reflection on one of my lesson plan, the lesson 3, forms of communications. And this lesson plan on forms of communication incorporated activities and assessments with considerations to the new normal setting of the learning process. My learning objectives focus on the identification of forms of communication, the application of verbal and nonverbal communications through action activity, and instilling to the students the significances of having forms of communications in everyday living. So basically, forms of communication involves verbal and non-verbal communications. And lesson planning, guys, is very very fun when you try to incorporate this. I mean, when you try to realize or apply this lesson plan to your classroom. Okay, and there. Let's proceed. My motivational activity focus on building participation towards the students when I try to apply what do you call this lesson plan. I ask them questions. How they do often communicate with their friends? How do they communicate? Is it a form? Is it a form of verbal or written? So I asked those questions. And then after that, followed by a lesson proper, I made an activity which caters those special learners. What do you mean by special learners? Special means they are actually good in learning, and when they incorporate their visual senses, they are very good. They tend to learn learn best when they use their visual. Okay, that that's what we call the spatial learners. And I use images related to forms of communication and let them guess where the images belong. These images are email, a set of emoji, and a phone calls. Then afterwards, in my analysis, I have prepared a follow-up questions. You need to have the follow-up questions in order to generate ideas and learnings. Okay, and these are among those images presented. What are their common? How do they identify the image to its form? And then after they have all given their opinions, I evaluated their answer and provided the correct classification. And then in my abstraction or the discussion, that's another term of abstraction. I only discuss the content of this lesson because it is very hard to have an activity in this part given the fact that we are in a virtual classroom. So during the pandemic, we actually have the blended learning. So I mean the online learning. So we it's hard to um, realize so I only discuss during that time. Okay, and however, to keep the discussion engaging, I always involve them in discussion like asking questions if they are still following with me and relating the context to their personal scenarios. In that certain strategy, I would somehow retain their interest in listening. And after the abstraction, ask their application about what they have learned in our discussion. I have prepared a question and they should answer it within 5 minutes. So there should be a time limit. After they have finished, um, after they finish the task, they have to send it in the Google Meet comment section. So in in using that kind of strategy, they you make them involved in the learning process. Their outputs were scored with this scoring protocols. Grammar and mechanics equivalent to 5 points. You can give 5 points to that, and relevance equivalent to 5 points. Total of 10 points. So, in giving scoring protocols or scoring rubrics, it is very important to make it sim make it simpler in order to avoid vagueness or what do we call this? A misdirection to your students. So yeah. I made this subjective type of question in order to examine what they have understand in consideration to their personal realization towards the topic. Okay, when I made this lesson plan, I considered making these interactive despite the absence of face-to-face discussion. I also maximize the capacity of technology as most of the 21st century students are most acquainted to it. Excuse me. Since my topic for this demonstration is about forms and communications, verbal, nonverbal, and written communication. As their assessment, I made them create a minute video self-introduction where they have integrated the forms of communications. I have created a criteria where they could boost their confidence in speaking. They were graded with these current protocols. poise and confidence, equivalent to 5 points, and clarity of voice, diction, and eye contact, equivalent to 5 points. However, there were some students who made a voice over on their self introduction, and it is really disappointing. Despite of, I still considered their outputs, provided them a feedback after I have checked their outputs. Well, in that case, if they voice over their self introduction, well, it's kind of disappointing because the actual self introduction is very different when you only over voice a certain video. You know what I'm saying? You know, because they are actually engaging. I mean, their senses are engaging at a time compared to voice overing a certain video. And that would be my reflection. I mean, yeah, my reflection essay on lesson 3 forms of communications. Well, I'll be sharing you now my what do we call this, reflection essay on the teaching demo itself. That would be for the lesson plan, and this time I'll be um, sharing to you the my reflection towards the teaching demonstration from that certain topic or certain lesson. Okay, so this is for the reflection essay for the demonstration, and earlier that would be the um, reflection essay for the what do we call this, the lesson plan itself. So here we go. So I will read it to you. The absence of face-to-face discussion is not a hindrance in delivering and instilling education to the young generation. On the 90th of February 2021, my first teaching demonstration was indeed successfully demonstrated. And this will be my first lesson and my first demonstration. The class was started at 11 a.m. in the morning and ended past 12 in the afternoon. The demonstration was a form of synchronous via Google Meet application. The class was started with an opening salvo, a prayer in a form of song given by my very self, and and then proceeded with the formal class discussion. During my demonstration, I have encountered both advantages and disadvantages of having synchronous class. First one is disadvantages are first, the streak of internet connections really affects the audio clarity. That's the first problem. Even though my signal is okay, the audio output from those who have low internet signal is vague and choppy. And results, they don't want to listen anymore and will only rely on the PowerPoint presentation being prepared. Second, the in and out of the students due to low internet signal, which is common due to intermittent signal. Um, yeah, it actually bothers me while discussing that time. It would somehow catch my attention and tend to lose my focus in discussion, correct? However, there are still advantages in having online teaching discussion. First, the online platform allows the students as well as the teachers to stay at home in learning lesson. Instead of expensing daily fare, their money will be used to buy load and it costs them less compared to daily expenses going to school. Yeah, it is very correct. Second, the Google Meet online platform is accessible to those who have Android phones. Third, this platform is engaging to the 21st century learners as they are into technology. As I've observed during my discussion, there are students who keep on disconnecting from meeting, and there are learners who come late, and it bothers me because I am um, I am admitting them um, 15 minutes before the scheduled time because when what do you call this one? When a certain student's disconnected from your class, it actually bothers you from teaching or giving your total focus on your discussion because you need to acquaint them or re-enter them to your class discussion, and it will somehow affect the flow of the discussion. However, I still don't have a choice but to accept their join request again, even if it distracts my demonstration every time the notification pops up in my screen. I also have trouble with regards to my voice clarity because there are times that my voice is not that clear to them. I often ask them whether my voice is clear or not at the tail end of the discussion, since they are not yet acquainted with each other. As their assessment about the topic forms of communication, I made them create a self-introduction video where had integrated, they had integrated the forms of communication, specifically verbal and nonverbal communication. Then after my demonstration, I realized that their attention span is very low. So in order to catch their attention, I often ask them if they are still following with me. I always I will keep my discussion interactive too, so that students will not um, so so that so that in order to catch their attention, I often ask them if they're still following me. I always keep my discussion interactive too, and in order for them to not get bored and will get involved in the learning process. In doing so, they will no longer fall asleep and inattentive because from time to time I always keep on asking their perceptions. Okay, and that would be my reflection essay on my teaching demonstration for the topic lesson 3, forms of communications, and I'll be sharing you the next topic, the next one that would be the reflection essay on my second lesson plan. That would be for lesson 5, communication ethics. Okay, and I'll be reading this to you. This lesson plan on communication incorporated activities and assessments with consideration to the new normal settings of the learning process. My learning objectives focus on defining, excuse me, what is communication ethics, internalizing the norms of ethical communication, and formulating ways on how to promote ethical communication in real life scenarios. And in my preliminary activities, I stress the prayer, followed by meetings and then virtual class management. I made this setup in order for them to feel secure and will not be threatened. In my motivational part, since my topic for lesson plan is communication ethics, I have prepared questions. These are what you should do when someone's talking about his or her personal beliefs, and would you accept his or her perspectives in which is she only basing on his or her cultural influence? These questions would open their minds on the manner about how they should react and respond with proper communication towards others. So the ethics comes in, and in my activity part, I presented a 1 minute video clip where I downloaded it from YouTube and cut the important part. The video was about the student who got asthma attack during their discussion. This is actually very interesting video when you try to search this one. Or if you wanted to see the video, I can give it to you. Just comment down below. Just comment down. And let me just read it to you. Yep, I downloaded it from YouTube and cut the important part. The video was about the students who got asthma attack during their class discussion. The teacher in the video asked for help via email, but that bothered his classmate. His classmate carried him immediately and brought him to the emergency room. Afterwards, after analysis, I have thrown out follow-up questions. This question were, hmm, what do you think is wrong with the situation? The second one is sending emails appropriate in seeking an urgent help? And number three would be, what do you think are ethical and unethical deeds in this scenario? And these questions would somehow set their minds and about the lesson of the day. Meanwhile, in my instruction, I discussed the lesson through PowerPoint presentations, and in the application parts, I made them create a tagline of not less than 20 words that promotes ethical communication. And after 5 minutes, they have to send it in the comment section. Okay, and in the assessment part, I have tasked them to answer the following question via voice recorder, and they have to send it to our designated group chat. And the question was, as a future teacher, how would you promote ethical communication in your class? After assignment, I only tasked them to study plans about computer mediated communication. And there. And in this lesson plan, I realized that having the integration of video while reporting via online virtual classroom would somehow affect um, its effectivity. It is because due to low internet connection and the video cannot be perceived and heard clearly, the use of social media can be a tool in realizing a healthy and effective transfer of learning. That would be my yep, and that would be my reflection essay on lesson 5 communication ethics. And I'll be sharing to you now the reflection essay on the demonstration itself. One moment. And this would be my reflection essay on the demonstration itself. Okay. This lesson plan on communication, incorporated activities, and assessment with one moment. Mm, some essay. There we go. Okay. In spite of the struggle caused by intermittent connection on the 26th of February 2021, my second teaching demonstration was indeed successfully demonstrated. The class was started at 11 a.m. in the morning and ended past 12. Yeah. Mm, one moment. We are on communication ethics. The demonstration was a form of synchronous via Google Meet application. The class was started with an opening salvo, a prayer, and a form song given by me, I believe. Mm, yeah. And then proceeded with formal class discussion. During this demonstration, I have experienced an intermittent connection, as I mentioned earlier. I was only using the Wi-Fi connection of the Institute of Teachers Education. Well, basically during this time, I actually had actually conducted my demonstration at our school. Okay, I mean yeah, at the Devoto Norte State College, and I was only using the Wi-Fi connection of the Institute of Teachers Education. I guess numbers of faculty have connected to it and it slowed down the connectivity. Despite of the delay on my slides, I had still managed to deliver the content. I just asked them to just listen on my voice because the PowerPoint slides transition was quite delayed. And and in the middle of the discussion, the connection became stable and the discussion became better and synchronized. In the activity part of my demonstration, I encountered technical error. The audio of the video can't be heard by the students, but only by me. Okay, I don't I don't really know the reason behind it. During my dry run, it was all working, and I was shocked during my actual demonstration that the audio was can't be heard by the students. So I just explained what the video was all about and then proceeded asking questions. And yeah, if you try to, I mean, if you also encounter this kind of situation where during your dry run activity, all the video or audio of the video is actually working, but during the demonstration proper, it does not, or it didn't work. There are actually instances like that, and if you encountered such thing, you try to just um, narrate to them what is actually the video all about, what are actually happenings, what actually uh, yeah, the video tells us. Okay, and yeah. Mhm. After my demonstration, I hold on. In the activity part of my demonstration, I encountered technical error. The audio of the video can be heard by the students. Yeah, I've already mentioned that. So, um, from what I've experienced, I only explained what the video was all about, and then proceeded asking questions during my discussions. I did not give interactive activity, but purely teachers discussion, which is not advisable. I believe you should give. You should. I mean, you. Yeah, you should give. You should give interactive. In order to make it engaging, I keep on asking them if they were still following me. I did also throw random questions to just make their attention focused on the discussion. It is actually quite what do you call this? Quite effective when you try to catch the attention of your learners. You want to check if they are still actually listening with you. I mean, listening to you, or if they are actually with you. You need to ask them from time to time. That is actually one way or one reason on how. I mean, one way on how to get the attention of the listener. Okay. After my demonstration, I realized that their span is very low. So in order to catch their attention, I often ask them if they are still following with me. I always keep my discussion interactive so that students will not get bored and will get involved to the learning process. In doing so, they will no longer feel asleep and inattentive because from time to time I always keep on asking their perceptions about the topic. After discussion, I task them to create not less than 20 words tagline that promote that promotes communication ethics. It is actually quite interactive kind of activity when you task them to create a tagline. Okay. Mm, okay. And their answers were sent in the comment section located below the virtual classroom. Meanwhile, as their assessment, I made them answer the question as a future teacher. How would you promote ethical communication in your class? You can use that question too. They have sent their answer in our group chat via voice message. I made this kind of assessment in order to relate to what the trend of 21st century learners. Since they are fully acquainted with the with technology, I have utilized the uses of messenger application. And there, using messenger application, you can task them to send a voicemail or a dub. You can actually create that kind of activity using the using voice. Messenger have voicemails and voice messages, so you can maximize that um, tool. And my realization of this demonstration are: first, check and make sure the internet connection is good enough. I highly suggest if you're using your laptop, you could connect. I mean, you could buy some data using your phone, mobile phones, and then connect your laptop to it using through what do you call this, through hotspot. Okay. And second, second, you should extend your patience when it comes to connection problems. And last, integrate what are the trends that as 21st century learners are fond of. So basically, you need also to relate to them what they are into, in order for you to connect to them. Most of the 21st century learners right now are very engaged with the social media. So you can make use of the social media as your springboard of your discussion or your assessment, or yeah, your assessment. And there would be my second um, reflection on my teaching demonstration. I'll be sharing to you now my third reflection essay. One moment. And this will be my third demonstration and my third reflection essays about my lesson plan. Okay, and if you wanted the actual lesson plan of this, I can give it to you. Just comment below, and I'll be I'd be more than happy to give my lesson plan to you. You can ask your reference, or you can make use of it too. And then my reflection essay on lesson plan, lesson 7: terms, expression, and images reflecting different cultures. Okay, in this lesson plan on on terms, expression, and images, oh, quite sleepy, and images reflecting different cultures, I realized that learners were more interested in the context which relate to them. The examples from the Philippine context enable them to compare and contrast differences across different cultures effectively. Okay, so this lesson is actually talks about cultures. This lesson plan on communication incorporated activities and assessments with consideration to the new normal setting of the learning process. My learning objectives focus on determining culturally appropriate terms, expressions, and images, creating a meme, integrating awareness of terms, expressions, and images reflecting different cultures, and appreciating the importance of the meaning of an expressions or images in having effective communication across different cultures. I have incorporated the use of Facebook app where they have posted their individual outputs. So it is actually, yeah, actually quite engaging when you try to make use of the social media like Facebook, where they could post their answers and share it to the public. That's a good way of integrating um, integrating a different kind of assessment. In my preliminary activities, I stress the prayer followed by greetings and then virtual class management. I made this setup in order for them to feel secure and will not be threatened. In my motivational part, since my topic for this lesson plan was about terms, expression, and images reflecting different cultures, I have prepared questions in order to build connection and participation with the learners. These questions were, do you have foreigner friends? How do you interact with them? Are you are you conscious are you conscious of your action towards them to avoid misunderstandings and conflicts? These questions allow the students to prepare their mind and set to prepare their mindset towards the succeeding lesson. And in my activity part, I presented a 1 minute video clip where I downloaded it from YouTube and get the important parts. The video was about um, the student who got asthma. I already mentioned that one to you earlier. Who got asthma attack during their class. The teacher in the video asked for help by email, but that bothered his classmate. And his classmate carried him immediately and brought him to the emergency room. And afterwards, as their analysis, I have thrown follow-up questions. These questions were: what do you think is wrong with the situation? Is sending emails appropriate in seeking an urgent help? What do you think are ethical and unethical deeds? One moment. Yeah. And is sending emails appropriate in seeking an urgent help? And what do you think are ethical and unethical dating scenario? This question would somehow set their minds about the lesson of the day. Meanwhile, in my abstractions, I discussed the lesson through PowerPoint presentation. And the application part, I made them create a tagline not less than 20 words that promotes ethical communication. After 5 minutes, they have to send it in the comment section. And the assessment part, I have tasked them to answer the following question via voice recorder, and they have to send it to our designated group chat. The question was: as a future teacher, how would you promote ethical communication in your class? As their assignment, I only tasked them to study in advance on computer mediated communication. Mm. And in this lesson plan, I realized that having integration of video while reporting online, virtual classroom would somehow affects the technological capability. It is because due to the fact of having low internet connections, yeah, the video cannot be perceived and heard clearly. However, with the proper execution of the technology and with the use of necessary resources such as good internet connection and learning materials, effective transfer of learning is still possible, and despite the presence of this pandemic. And that would be my reflection essay on lesson plan. Terms, expression, and images reflecting different cultures. I'll be sharing to you the reflection essay on the demonstration itself. There. In this demonstration, I was able to integrate engaging activities and assessment with regards to the multiple intelligence of the learners. I have incorporated tasks which were relatable to the 21st century learners. As usual, our morning class routine was being observed. Before having the proper discussion, the class was started with a morning prayer in a form of song. But this time, someone from the class has shared her talent in singing. and she was Kimberly Camotes. Since Miss Camotes is a music enthusiast, I asked her to lead the prayer in a form of song. I strategically asked her in order to build connection with the learners, and in doing so, she could somehow feel appreciated and valued. Okay, you can ask someone from your class to perform or to share their talent to the class via prayer, and they will actually feel appreciated if you try to do that one. Okay, our topic for this demonstration is about terms, expression, and images reflecting different cultures. I presented series of examples and additional information that would relate to the learner's interests. Some examples from the book are not contextualized, so I have managed to find examples in the Philippine context in order to attain our learning objectives. These objectives are first to determine culturally appropriate terms, expression, and images. This objective focuses on the cognitive level of the learners. They would be able to compare and contrast various terms, expression, and images across different culture. Second, create a meme integrating awareness of terms, expression, and images reflecting different cultures. This objective focuses on harnessing the skill of learners in creating outputs with the help of technology. And at the end of the discussion, the learners have created their unique memes and posted on the social media. Since most of the 21st century learners are very acquainted of this social media, I let them experience on how to become a meme maker with the intention to educate netizens. Okay, in the beginning of the lesson proper as the activity, I have presented a series of images that involves various expressions. I let them share their ideas about their interpretation from the images that I presented. I purposely did this strategy in order to promote interactive discussion. Remember that the learners are the key participants in the educational wheel, and they must be in the center of the learning process. Okay, this brainstorming activity would definitely activate their minds to keep on thinking and working. They are not merely passive but active on the coding task. After they have shared their ideas, I have thrown follow up questions to analyze their formulated answers and the meaning of the images itself. Later on, I discussed the topic and proceeded to the application part. In this part, I asked them to answer the questions how we should avoid misunderstanding across different cultures. And after 5 minutes, they have sent their answers in the comment section. Their answers were limited only to 3 sentences in order to avoid massive consumption of time. And afterwards, as their assessment, I tasked them to create a meme that integrates awareness of terms, expressions, or images reflecting different cultures. And in these demonstrations, I realized that the use of images in presenting your PowerPoint presentation would bring huge impact to the attention span of the learners. If you put engaging images on your slides, they will get into the details. Also, creating a task that is unusual to them will trigger their excitement and curiosity to try things they have never done before. Most especially if you relate your task to their interests, they will definitely hold to it since 21st century learners are very acquainted with digital education. Make use of Make use of it and utilize technology's capacity in teaching. So they can make use of Facebook or any social media platforms, TikToks, YouTube. You can make use of the one for their assessment, or if you ask them to present or to make a presentation with regards to the discussion you have presented. And there, that would be my reflection on my teaching demonstration on the lesson 7, terms, expressions, and images reflecting different cultures. And next one, I'll be sharing to you my next reflection essay on the on my lesson plan. And one moment. There. This lesson is this will be my reflection essay on lesson plan on my lesson plan. Lesson 9, local and global communication and in multicultural settings. Okay? And in this lesson plan on local and global communication in multicultural setting, I managed to include a video presentation in my activity portion. I downloaded a video in YouTube and got the important part which relate to my topic. However, the struggle is that when I was about to play the video, the audio can't be heard by the students. So I narrated what was the video all about and then proceeded with my discussion. So earlier with my lesson plans, I also experienced this kind of um, problem, and so with this lesson, and then so since it's actually local and global communication, multicultural settings, this lesson plan yeah this lesson plan incorporated activities and assessments with consideration to the new normal settings of learning process. My learning objectives focus on defining the nature and scope of local and global communication, as well as the intercultural and its various forms. Letting the learners create a minute video by animating their crafted hero in promoting their advocacy for local and global communication in multicultural setting and letting the learners demonstrate awareness and competence on intercultural communication. And then, in my preliminary activities, I stress the prayer followed by greetings and then virtual class management. In my motivational part, since my topic of this lesson plan was about local and global communication and multicultural settings, I have prepared the questions in order to build connection and participation with the learners. These questions were: Who among you, who among you here have watched international pageants? What have you observed in the question and answer portion? These questions allow the students to prepare their mindset towards the succeeding lesson. And then you try to ask them this question after you have presented the video, which was all about the pageantry. You could present a video or a clip from a pageant because I believe pageant shows a multicultural settings. Okay, and in this lesson, in the lesson proper, I'm sorry, as my activity, I presented a minute video clip where I downloaded it on YouTube. This video shows a clip on Miss Universe Q&A. That's what I said earlier. Q&A portion where candidates use interpreters in answering the question. Afterwards, I asked how they observe about the video. In the analysis part, I've thrown follow-up questions. These questions were: Why does the event consider interpreters? How can you connect communication and globalization with regards to the video? And what have you realized after seeing the video? Since our topic is about local and global communication in multicultural setting, I may relate it to what is trend and familiar to them. International pageantry is a culmination of world's languages where several languages gather together. Hence, effective communication is somehow not defined because of its variety. Okay? However, with the use of interpreters, effective communication is still possible. In my abstraction, I've discussed the topic, presented the topic outline, explained the nature and scope of local and global communication, defined intercultural communication and its forms, and also identify the concepts in understanding other people across culture and explore cultural dialectics. And in my application part, I made them create a hero name. These are actually quite engaging because you are about to let them create their own hero. You know what I'm saying? Creating a hero where each letter stands for their stance in advocating local and global communication in multicultural setting. Since most of the 21st century learners are most acquainted with anime or Korean drama or superheroes whatsoever, I made this fun and engaging task. In addition, in assessment part, I made them recreate or animate their crafted hero and recorded themselves acting like a hero. Despite the presence of this pandemic, learning can still be fun and engaging. With the help of technology, I integrated trend and technologies to cater learners' wants and interests. So after they have crafted their heroes, and I let them create. I let them animate what they have crafted. So that is actually very fun and engaging. You can make use of that one too. Yeah, it is very engaging, and you definitely enjoy that activity, I swear. In this lesson plan, I realized that teachers can still draw out the utmost potential of the learners with the help of technology. Teachers can still evaluate the performances of the learners through giving performance-based activities and assessments. However, it is also a huge challenge to the teachers to devise an activities that would cater learners' interests and needs. Teachers must be versatile and creative in crafting their instructional materials because learning nowadays can easily get bored. Hence, teachers must be patient, resourceful, and creative. That would be my reflection essay on the lesson plan. And I'll be sharing to you now my reflection essay on the demonstration itself. What I have encountered during applying this lesson plan. Four. And there. This would be my reflection essay on my teaching demonstration. Lesson 9, Local and Global Communication in Multicultural Settings. In this demonstration on local and global communication, I would consider this as the most troublesome one compared to the rest of my demonstration. Yes, I agree. It is because I have encountered intermittent connection and at the same time technical errors. This demonstration, guys, is um, very challenging for me. Before the demonstration have started, I have already checked that my instructional materials were ready. Video clips, audio, and my slides. I confirmed that all were set. Yeah, already confirmed. However, unexpected circumstances happened for a reason. When I was to play the video for my activity, the audio was not playable, although the video was able to play, but there's no audio at all. That's the problem. And you may still encounter that scenario. It may be because of the intermittent connection or whatsoever. One thing I'm certain was all my instructional materials were working properly, but during the demonstration proper, it turned out malfunction. Mhm. As usual, our morning class routine was being observed before having the proper discussion. The class was started with a morning prayer and a form of song given by me. Meanwhile, since our topic for this demonstration is about local and global communication in multicultural settings, I have opened the discussion with a short video about question and answer portion where a certain candidate used an interpreter in order to understand and answer the questions. I came up with this kind of strategy because the world's pageantry represents language diversity and it definitely involves local and global communication. And at the same time, this example is timely and relatable to the 21st century learners. Given the fact that Filipinos are very acquainted with the local and national pageantry. Later on, in order to make utilize of the video, I've thrown follow-up questions related to the topic. These questions were somehow encourage them to expound their observations and perceptions about the video presented. And in my application part, I made them create a hero name where each letter stands for their stance in advocating local, global communication and multicultural setting, since most of the 21st century learners are much acquainted with anime. So in every they were to about I mean they had created a hero name, and each letter of that name would stand with their um, spells out what is their stance about the about local and global communication in multicultural settings, and it is actually fun and very engaging. And later on, in this demonstrations, I figure out that no matter how nice the lesson is, if you don't devise an engaging activity, then chances are learners don't want to listen on your discussion. Make sure that you are not just teaching your lesson. Make sure to connect with your learners, because sometimes if we are connecting our lesson to them, they they feel what actually the feeling of that lesson. I mean, they feel the lesson because they have experienced it. Okay, because they know it. They they got their interest because the scenario is familiar to them. So it is very important to connect the lessons to them and make them feel that you are into them by making or asking where did they go wrong, or I mean what portion is difficult to them. You can ask that one too, and ask them from time to time if they are still with you, are they following with you, and also in order to build good rapport, connect with their personal lives. So you need to connect their personal lives by contextualizing your examples, like, and also try to make mention of their names, because they really like to mention their names, and I've already experienced that one. Try to mention their names oftentimes, and yeah, they would somehow acknowledge um, your connection to them. So make use of that one, and also in order to build good rapport, connect with their personal lives, make them feel that you cared for them, and then you can use that information to devise and engaging activities and assessment would somehow catch their interest. And afterwards, they will pin their attention because they know that is somehow familiar to them. That is what I said earlier, that you need to connect what what have they already know. So yeah, there must be a relation of your examples or topic from what they have experienced already, and in that way they could somehow, what do we call this, participate in your discussion. And I believe that would be all for today. And if you wanted the physical lesson plan, I can give that to you. Just comment below your email address, or just comment below, and I mean I'll be putting the description link where, or in the description where you can send me a message, and I'll be giving you the physical my personal lesson plans about the lesson plans that I have shared to you earlier. Okay, and there. If you have concerns, or if you want something from me, you could comment down, and I'd be more than happy to help you in your teaching journey. Okay, and I have also a lot of examples of my lesson plans here. Um, few of detailed lesson plans, and also, I mean, yeah, and semi detailed. You can ask from me an example, and I'll be sharing that one to you. Okay, and once again, this is Adam Gumba TV, and yeah, soon to be a teacher as well, an a language teacher. And there, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you like this video, and don't forget to subscribe. And thank you so much for watching, and have a blessed have a blessed day. Bye for now.